So pit, oh yeah, yins are crazy.
And what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Chris Wormley Show, brought to you by yinzarcrazy.com. The boys over here at yinzarcrazy.com. I'm Mike Nicastro. You can follow me on Twitter at MikeDupSports1. That's at Jordan York Music. And we're really happy to bring you another episode of the Chris Wormley Show tonight. Of course, we're not as happy with the Steelers' performance so far on the early season. They're now 1-3 after falling to the Packers this past Sunday. But listen, there's still room to rectify it. The season is not over. We're going to preview the home matchup against the Denver Broncos coming up this Sunday with Chris and ask him what needs fixed. It certainly is a loaded question, but we're excited to get into it today on a special Wednesday edition of the Chris Wormley Show, brought to you by Steel City Wheelhouse, steelcitywheelhouse.com. Jordan, listen, your Twitter handle is at Jordan York Music for a reason. Can you give me some music or riffs maybe about our friends over at Steel City Wheelhouse?
Steel City Wheelhouse is the best in the business. Auto customization from rims, alignment, tires, tint, wraps. You got your stereo in there. I'm going to go get me a new stereo for my car so I can listen to the new Yins Are Crazy song. Steel City Wheelhouse, they have two locations, one in the Meadowlands and one in Imperial. You got to check them out. It's where the bar is set and it's where the pros go. And they sponsor this show, and we are happy to have them on board.
Check them out right above us, steelcitywheelhouse.com. And check that out. I think Chris Wormley is going to like that. JY rocking the 9th ranked Michigan Wolverines sweatshirt today. No disrespect to our Pitt Panthers, but Michigan's playing pretty well, and Worm's got to be happy about that, right?
Yeah, I mean, being an alum and seeing that, I know he's pretty active during the games on Twitter, with his thoughts. So I can't wait. It's always fun to talk about, Michigan football, college football. Obviously, the Steelers right now got to pull out of this 1-3 skid, but they can win the next two, go into the bye week 3-3. I have the faith. I really like Worm, that strip fumble. I seen that. TJ Watt recovered it. He was the highest grade defensive player on the Steelers, according to the Steelers PF, or is that what it is?
Yeah, Pro Football Focus. We don't give them too much attention around here, but you're on it.
So I seen that, and that was pretty cool, man. I'm happy he's finally getting the love that he deserves, because he's a hard worker and a good person, and we're happy to have him here every week on the Chris Wormley Show.
Well, what better time than now to bring in the man of the hour? It is none other than Steelers defensive lineman Big Worm, brought to you by yinzarcrazy.com. It's the Chris Wormley Show, and welcome in to Chris Wormley. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome into your own show, the Chris Wormley Show. And I want to start off by asking you about something that you recently posted on your Instagram. This is really cool. It looks like you partnered with the Education Partnership. Is that right? You went over to Mifflin Elementary to drop off some school supplies for the kids. Tell me a little bit more about that project.
Yeah, I was approached maybe during camp about doing kind of like a back to school school supply book bag book giveaway, and things got backed up a little bit with COVID, but today was the day, and it was our off day, so it was a perfect day. And yeah, we partnered with obviously the Steelers and Mifflin Elementary, and then the Education Partnership. And I think the gentleman I was talking to said that they do over 170 of these throughout the year, throughout Pittsburgh. I think they're a local-based organization. At least they have a big chapter here. But yeah, it was amazing. We got to gift every student in the school K through 8 school supplies, and then they had some brand new books in the classroom. So I was really excited to be able to not only give them some cool goodies, but to also interact with them a little bit. They were asking some pretty cool questions. One girl stated that she liked unicorns, so we have that in common. And yeah, it was a great day. We got to take some pictures and just hang out with the kids for a while, which was really fun. Super awesome endeavor. You had some teammates come out with you too, right? Who joined you? No, it was just me. There were some of the community relations people there. Blair Holmes, who does kind of our community outreach, was there, and I know she has a lot to do with it too. So I can't thank her enough. But also the Education Partnership were amazing as well. Well, teammates can cast a wide net, I suppose. So we're all teammates of the Steelers in some form or fashion, if you will, Jordan. Yep.
Yeah, so obviously that was a great way, to start the show. But on a more somber note, you guys fell to the Packers this week. You're at 1-3. What's the mood in the locker room, going into the next week?
I think the mood is still pretty high. We were in yesterday, obviously. Spirits were a little low just because we had lost, less than 24 hours after we had came and met. But Coach Tomlin always has a great message for us. I think at least for the defensive side of the ball and me personally, it just comes down to the details. I feel like I had a pretty good game, but at the same time, going over the film 2 or 3 times now, you start to see the few small minor details that that could have really impacted the game on a technique level, on a gap level, just where I'm lining up, how I'm playing certain blocks. And that's what I feel like to me is really encouraging when it comes to how we're playing. We're 1-3, we're not playing the greatest. But when you see few things that are easy, pre-snap things that you can fix, more of the mental side of the game, that's what gets me excited each week is to continue to perfect my craft and not only continue to play well, but to make those plays and put myself in the best position to succeed.
Yeah, so obviously it's never fun to lose, but we talked, in the previous episode about your excitement for playing at Lambeau Field. What was the atmosphere like there? I know it's such a historical place. It kind of reminds me a lot about Pittsburgh. I always say like the Packers are the Steelers of the NFC. So what, tell us a little bit about that. You said that was your first time playing there?
Yeah, I had went there my rookie year and with the Ravens, and we had played, but I didn't play in the game. So this is my first time getting some game action. And it was special, man. I mean, an historic city, an historic organization for football. You're driving through, and you're basically just driving through a town. There's homes a quarter mile from the stadium. So just to know that how much that football team means to that city, you have a great appreciation for not only the stadium but the history, the fans, and what it means to football. In general, they're one of the premier organizations, one of the premier NFL teams, and that's been going on for the last, 100 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So super cool to play in Lambeau Field. Obviously didn't get the win, would have loved that, but excited for the Broncos.
However, you did play well. I seen the strip fumble that TJ Watt picked up. I was yelling at my TV screen, so that was really awesome, man.
Yeah, I was excited to make a big play and put our offense in the position to score.
Definitely.
Chris, I want to get your take on a different play, a play that obviously has been talked about quite a bit. Some around here are calling it the offsides that wasn't. There's been some other nicknames thrown around for it. Obviously, a huge momentum-changing play in which Joe Hayden and Minkah Fitzpatrick combined to block a potential field goal that would have went for a Steelers touchdown. First of all, were you on the field for that play?
I wasn't on the field. Which I feel like being on the sidelines, you have a better perspective and a better view of what was going on.
So what was your view?
He wasn't offsides. Minkah and both were not offsides. It's clear in the videos that I went on Twitter and looked it up, and it was clear as day that it went right as the ball was snapped. And obviously, refs are human; they make mistakes, yada yada yada. But at the same time, it's like that could have totally shifted the game for us, right? It was right before halftime. They were, trying to kick the field goal to go up. I think it was 7 to make it 17-10. If it was 14-17, we're up by 3 going into half. They get the ball back at second half, but at the same time, we're up by 3 instead of down by 7. That's a huge point shift and a huge momentum shift going into the half. And I think everyone knows that the refs really dropped the ball on that, and it sucks. Obviously, that's not the only play that mattered in the game, but that would have been a huge momentum swing for us to go into halftime and come out of the second half feeling pretty good.
How tough is it for you guys is it even something you're talking about, or is everything going so fast in the fact that you got to get ready for a third quarter? Or are you guys sitting there on the sidelines like, what could have been?
Yeah, that's. I think the first part of that is, we're not even thinking about that. We're trying to make adjustments. Yeah. We're trying to get rehydrated. We're trying to figure out what we can do better on the defensive side of the ball. And that really didn't get talked about until yesterday. And then obviously, like I said, when I got on Twitter after the game, that's what I saw. I didn't even have to search for it. It was just on there. Obviously, Joe had tweeted out I wasn't offsides, and he was correct. But it seems like that could have been a huge momentum shift for us that we really needed.
Yeah, no question about it. Listen, we can't live in the past. It's on to Denver, Jordan, right?
Yeah, I mean, tell us, what do you see most are worried about, this Denver Broncos? They've been playing good football. What are you most looking forward to? What stands out in this group to you?
I think their offensive line is pretty good. They have Garrett Bowles, a left tackle, just signed a huge deal. Graham Glasgow, who I played with at Michigan with, he's making a lot of money at right guard, so I'm excited to go up against him for the majority of the game. Obviously, Melvin Gordon is a premier running back, I think, in the league, and they have some weapons at receiver too that are going to be a matchup for our DBs in the secondary and linebackers. And then obviously, depending on if Bridgewater or Drew Lock plays, it just depends. I think Bridgewater might be still concussed. I'm not sure. But those guys present their own issues. Obviously, Teddy's is a veteran that knows the game, and Drew's a younger quarterback that likes to sling the ball. So we're excited for the opportunity. We're excited for the matchup, and happy to be back in Heinz Field to get that first home win of the year.
Yeah, I know it's still early in the season, but would you guys consider this a must-win game?
I wouldn't consider it a must-win game, but it's a must-win just because it's the next game. It's a long season. We still have 13 more of these things. It'd be nice to go into the bye week in 2 weeks, with 2 wins under the belt. Yeah, 500 would be huge for us, especially how we're sitting now. So I think it's a must-win just because it's the next game and our next opponent. But like I said, it's a long season, and we're excited to play an AFC opponent.
Chris, I want to ask you about your teammate, Stefan Tuitt. I think we can all agree that this is a guy who deserves as much time as he needs. But obviously a lot of fans are wondering if he's been around the team. Has he been around the locker room? And if not, have you talked to him recently?
Yeah, I actually saw Tuitt today. He was in there. Doing what he's doing. And to be honest with you, I think it's bullshit that people on Twitter are complaining that he's not playing or what's his deal. I saw somebody say something like on the lines of my brother had passed away and I had to be back at work 2 weeks later or something crazy like that. I think everyone deals with grief differently. I think everyone deals with life differently, and whoever is talking isn't in a position to tell somebody else how they're feeling. And whether that's the reason why he's out or not, I think it's not right of somebody else to comment on how somebody is feeling, how somebody's doing, and whether or not they're playing or not. And it pisses me off because everyone knows the player that Tuitt is. Everyone knows that, at least in the locker room, knows that Tuitt is an amazing player. He loves the game of football, and if he could be out there, he would, no questions asked. So people that are on Twitter and social media having their opinions, it's frustrating.
Our friend Chris Wormley, not mincing words. And listen, I think I saw the same comment. I think it was under one of my tweets, and it was hard for me not to respond to that, in an aggressive way, I should say, because I can do that occasionally on Twitter. I guess it's more of my job than yours, but I'm happy you addressed that for sure. And it's good to hear that you spent some time with him today, because we're all thinking about him every day for sure, as we, at the end of the day, want what's best for Stefan Tuitt above all else. No question about it. So, Chris, I know that you already helped us out a little bit with one of our new favorite games, Worm Association. You touched on a little bit of your old buddy at Michigan. It's Graham Glasgow. So first of all, I want to know, what's the conversation going to be like with you and Graham when you're going up button helmets against this guy? You get a chance to throw a jab at him every once in a while and say, "Hey, listen, man, you're making all this bank. Can you buy me a steak after the game or something?"
Maybe we'll go to dinner Saturday night. It's always when you're going up against somebody that you played with and that you consider a friend. there's always that friendly banter back and forth, I would say. But when in between the whistles, it's full go. I'm not going to let up, I'm sure. And I wouldn't want him to let up on his play. So there's no brother-in-law play going on here. But I'm excited to go up against him. I went up against him last year when he was, we played last year against the Broncos. So we're hoping for the same outcome. We got after quarterback last year. But when it comes to Graham, it's always fun to go up against somebody that you were with for 4 years, 3 years.
All right, let's do a couple more worm associations. I know you hit on Bridgewater, Locke a little bit there in the receivers. Let's talk a little bit more about Melvin Gordon. You talked about you guys have had not some challenges, but obviously you want to be a little bit more on your P's and Q's in terms of stopping the run. You have allowed a 4.4 yards per carry average over the past 2 weeks. Broncos have a dynamic duo right now. Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams. How do you stop him? What do you see from him?
I think that's the biggest thing is just going to be on our details. There was a lot of stuff on the film yesterday we watched where if we were just in our gaps or we were just in the right position, it would have been a gain of 1 or negative yards. It wouldn't have been those 4 or 5 yard chunks that make it 2nd and 5 instead of 2nd and 9, or those 8 yard runs that in the grand scheme of things, it's 8 yards, but it's 2nd and 2 instead of, 2nd and 7 or more. So I think just being detailed, being in the right position is going to help out immensely for us. And that's probably going to be our biggest focus, at least for me, this week going into the game.
I know this guy's on the other side of the ball, but I still want to play a little worm association because I love getting your perspective on all of these NFL greats. So tell me a little bit about Von Miller.
He's a freak athlete. Obviously Super Bowl MVP. We had a conversation in camp. I forget who. I think it was mostly the D line, but we were sitting on the sideline one day at Heinz Field, and someone was like, Von Miller's never had more than 10 sacks in a season. And we all look at him like, what are you talking about? And then we had one of the trainers pull up his stats, and it was like 16 this year, 17 the other year. Multiple seasons. That
was a miss.
Of 10 or more sacks. You're like, you're ridiculous. So obviously future Hall of Famer, but it's always fun to watch, guys on their side of the ball that you have seen for a while. But obviously we don't want him to have too good of a game against our guys. So, but freak athlete and future Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think he had 10 sacks last game. No, I'm kidding. Hey, Jordan, can we agree that the winner of this game, Steelers-Broncos, Chris versus Graham, gets your Michigan sweater? You're cool with that, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it will fit him, but sure, I'll put that up. I'll put that up. So,
I just wanted to put a little more pride on it.
I just need to find one myself at the local Goodwill or Salvation Army.
Yeah. We'll see what we can do. I'll see what I can do.
That's
Fair
awesome.
enough. And I'll tell you what, it represents a seamless transition into, and I have found a title for this. I know we were struggling to find one last week. Tell me if you like this. You like this. Worms, Craze, and Blue.
Okay.
No, could do better. I was trying to play into the Yins are crazy a little bit. Maize and Blue. All right, we'll work on it. Anyway, how about that win by the Wolverines? I mean, this is a team now that's in the top 10 nationally, ranked number 9. They beat Wisconsin, obviously, 38-17. Wisconsin quarterback Graham Mertz was injured in the contest. Michigan rattles off 25 straight points, but defensively limiting the Badgers to just 43 yards on the ground and 32 carries. Oh, my gosh. Did you watch the game 1 and 2, man? This got to be awesome for you as an alum, of course, and an astute Michigan dude.
Yeah, it's great to see the Wolverines having success, especially after last year going 2-4. It's awesome to see Harbaugh. I feel like getting back to his old self. It seems like he's having a little more fun on the sidelines. He's getting a little more creative with the flea flicker for a touchdown. I think it was early in the first quarter. I got to watch bits and pieces of it, obviously the highlight. But I think on the defensive side of the ball, 97, Aiden Hutchinson's probably playing some of the best ball in the country right now. Sacks, tackles, pressures, stuff in the run. It's fun to see him out there being this successful and this productive. But I think the team is rolling right now. I think they should take each week one by one, and definitely not look forward, to the next big game. They have Nebraska this week. I think Nebraska is, poses its own challenges. They went, to the wire with Oklahoma. It was a close game a couple weeks ago. So I think you can't look past them. And everyone's always asking, what about Ohio State? Can you beat Ohio State? It's like, you need to focus on the next week. You need to focus on the game coming up. But everyone obviously wants to look forward to that. They got Michigan State coming up soon. Penn State's in the top 4, and Ohio State is Ohio State. So those 3 games are going to be their biggest challenges. But like I said about us, it's a must-win each week because it's the next week.
Yeah, it's a gauntlet for sure. Obviously, there's the biggest rivalry potentially on earth with Ohio State. For Michigan State's 5-0, Penn State's 5-0. You touched on it. But you're right. You can't overlook Nebraska. The Huskers crushed Northwestern last weekend as well. It's a Saturday night game in Lincoln, which is a rowdy place. It gets me thinking. I'm curious to ask you, as a guy who obviously has played in a lot of cool NFL stadiums, we never really get a chance to talk to you about some of these awesome opposing college stadiums you played in, Worm. Tell me about some of the craziest atmospheres, whether it's Beaver Stadium in Penn State or just is it Columbus? What are some of the coolest experiences? Maybe an off the radar one too that doesn't come up automatically. Yeah,
I think by far besides the Big House, the greatest stadium college-wise that I played in is Beaver Stadium at Penn State. I had the chance to play there twice. Once for a whiteout night game, which was unreal. I think we lost in like quadruple overtime my freshman year, but just that atmosphere, and it's a small college town like Ann Arbor is, and when you have 100,000 people with those white pom-poms and the whiteouts, it's a really cool experience. I think going to play at Ohio State's always a fun challenge. Never won there, but the fans are flipping you off. You got little kids yelling at you from the buses, when they're tailgating. So it's that poses another fun challenge than the nice fans of Penn State. But yeah, I would say that the coolest stadium is definitely Beaver Stadium. And maybe the one that people wouldn't think is cool is Iowa. Fans are like 5 yards from you; they're right on top of you, and they get after it as well. It's a cool experience to play at Iowa.
The awesome moment also they do with Children's Hospital that's close to the stadium, I think at the end of the third quarter, is precious. I mean, it's something that everybody needs to see in person, at least live once, I would say, and if not on television, because it really is quite the moment. Interesting that fans flicking you off was part of your like positive list. I love that. You were like, you know what, this is cool because you got fans flicking me off.
Yeah, you're already focused. You're driving to the game. It's usually a noon game, so you're driving in at like 9:30, and the fans are already, probably drinking a good amount. The kids are already rowdy. So it's fun to play in Columbus.
Jordan, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Can you give me your best Jeopardy theme music hum?
I can try. What is it?
You know the
the musician, right? He's the artist.
Yeah, I thought you had it. Maybe not the biggest Jeopardy.
I'm not a producer, but I can give you. Was that good? Do I need to start over?
No, it's okay. I think I'm just gonna take. I'll just take the wheel here, because you don't want to hear me do any type of musical thing. But I don't know if Jeopardy really counts at the end of the day. What I'm getting at is, of course, last week we mentioned to you that this is something that we're going to test you with. You told us you're a big Jeopardy fan. It all kind of was wrapped into the fact the Steelers were going on the road to face Aaron Rodgers, former Jeopardy host, who knows, potential Jeopardy host in the future again. And so I have a question for you. Matter of fact, I have 2 questions for you.
Oh, man.
All right. So are you ready? First and foremost, do you need like a deep breath or anything?
Well, I don't know what you're going to ask. I was going to study a little bit, but I figured you were going to some wild.
Well, that's the thing about Jeopardy. There's not really a guidebook or a playbook, right? You can't there's no schematics with Jeopardy.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what you got.
All right, Worm. This one, actually no hints. I was going to give you a hint. So here we go. And you have to answer with what is, if you know it. I'm curious to see. This NFL team was an original franchise of the American Professional Football Association in 1920 and took their nickname from their home field, Triangle Park. Name this team.
Is this a trick question?
Not a trick question, but I didn't take it easy on you. It would be like the $10,000 question.
Yeah.
This is like Final Jeopardy. I'm going to say, who are the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Close, but no cigar. And listen, I couldn't give you a layup on the first show. We talked about it. You're a basketball guy too. This was a half court shot. All right, I'll move in as the weeks get closer.
You're making me look like a fraud, though. I said I was a Jeopardy fan. I completely bombed.
It was a big worm. It's a tough question, even though it's the Chris Wormley show.
You could have gave him $100 question to start off with. That was a pack.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, good point. What is the team on your hat?
Steelers.
Good job. All right. So you got one right. And now we'll say you're 1 for 2 tonight because the answer is, in fact, the Dayton Triangles of Dayton, Ohio, Chris. And listen, I know you're a Toledo guy, so it's close to home-ish, but not really.
I have spent very limited time in Dayton, Ohio.
Well, listen, it's now something you could stump teammates with or people in Ohio with because it's kind of a cool tidbit. They were technically the first NFL team, right? The Dayton Triangles, October 3rd, 1920, played in the very first game of what is now known as the NFL. And, of course, Lou Parchlow and Francis Bacon led them to a 14-0 victory. You knew that, though, right?
Yeah, I should have known that. You should have told me those coaches' names, and I would have players. I don't even know if they're coaches or players. But
all right, we'll give you an easier one now. Here we go. I said I got 2 questions. All right. So here's my second one. Jordan, you know what's coming here. Here goes. According to reports that we hadn't seen until this week, this Steelers player has Big Worm tattooed on his lower lip.
That's tougher than the first question. I'm going to say, who is Chris Wormley?
Actually, you're wrong. It was TJ Watt.
I hope not.
That would be strange. Dude, how do we not know about this?
I mean, honestly, I don't even see it or notice it until I'm like at the dentist office. And the dentist is like, "Oh, you have a nice tattoo." I'm like, "Huh?" My mouth is all open, like I'm drooling. But yeah, I've had it for probably 6 or 7 years now. And the tattoo artist was like, "Yeah, it should be gone in like 2 or 3 years." I'm like, "Oh, cool." Like, I want it forever. And it looks like it's going to be here for longer than 2 or 3 years. It has been, at least.
So, you know what's next.
Oh, man.
It's your discretion.
You don't just have a picture of it that you could just like flash?
We will superimpose a picture if it comes with. You know what?
Sports is going to be calling us now. This is breaking news.
We'll leave it up to everybody's imagination.
See how close I can get.
Dude, I tell you what, and hey, listen, great teeth. Dentists are doing a good job, or you're doing a good job brushing, flossing at night.
I like it. I like the font.
Yeah.
I can't use that and replace the purple unicorn picture with that because that listen, I tell you what, it kind of fits though, the October Halloween vibe. It was a little bit of a Jordan, let's see your teeth. You got good teeth?
I don't have anything.
Not as good as Big Worms. Yeah. All right. Well, we learned a lot today. And, technically we'll give you 2 of 3 on Jeopardy questions, but you might have to study old AFL teams before next week.
Man, you got a book for me and an old encyclopedia or something?
Dude, listen, it's been a blast. I'm glad we got that out of the way. I'm sorry that we made you do that on your own show.
That's okay.
But it's always a good time with Chris Wormley here on the Chris Wormley Show, brought to you by yinzercrazy.com. Chris, good luck against Denver. Bring home a W, or stay home and bring a W. And don't let anybody else find out about that tattoo.
I get some shit in the locker room, so I try not to show as much as possible. But now it's going to be on YouTube, and I'm sure some fans will enjoy it. But appreciate you guys as always, and I'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Thank you. Good luck Sunday.
Yeah, thanks, fellas.
Stay healthy, Chris.
Yins are crazy. This is it right here. Yins are crazy. So pit, oh yeah. Yins are crazy. This is it right here. Yins are crazy.
I know yins are crazy, but so am I. Number 1 sports site in the burg, let me show you why. The latest stories in unbeatable podcast with your favorite athletes. You know you can't pause that. Super Bowl, World Series, Stanley Cup champs. Rising stars, Berg personalities for the fans. We love our city, always Pittsburgh proud. When you're at your job or while doubles and home runs, predictions and interview. Who does it like us? No one. Cheering on the Berg squads, no pun.